Can't say anything bad. Indiana Fever president gets brutally honest on firing Christie sides. Stephanie White is back in Indiana, bringing a wealth of WNBA coaching experience to a franchise she's all too familiar with. But her return did spark a whirlwind of questions about why Christie sides, who was thought to be rebuilding the team's momentum, was let go. Well, there was already a ton of speculation, and now Indiana Fever president Kelly Krauskopf is setting the record straight. When the president of basketball joined the franchise in September, she was tasked with thinking of the future of the Fever, thinking ahead by 3 years, 5 years, really setting us up in a way that's going to shepherd us through this next decade. She states of the plan in hand. Every department and position was considered, and coaching was naturally a part of it. But praised Sides for her dedication, saying, "I can't say anything bad about the job that Christie Sides and her staff did. She did everything she was hired to do and then some." This wasn't a situation where Sides failed or fell short. In fact, Krauskopf mentioned how Sides navigated a tricky first year filled with high expectations and new talent, particularly with Caitlin Clark commanding attention from the start. The decision to part ways was simply about taking the team in a direction they felt only White, with her track record and connection to the franchise, could lead them toward. As Krauskopf explained, the opportunity to hire Steph just came about by a random conversation. And I think I probably heard, like most people, that there was potential that she might not return to Connecticut. It seems the stars aligned, and Indiana jumped at the chance to bring White back on board. Christie Sides, hired just 2 years ago, had a tough job on her hands. She inherited a team that had one of the worst records across all North American sports teams. So the mission wasn't exactly a quick fix. But she did start moving things in the right direction, pulling the Fever out of a playoff drought. With Caitlin Clark, Kelsey Mitchell, and Aaliyah Boston on the roster, she laid the foundation for future success. Still, the Fever felt they couldn't afford to wait. They saw a chance to bring in White, a proven coach who, as Krauskopf put it, is part of our history, part of our franchise, the fabric of our franchise, on Locked On Women's Basketball Podcast. For Indiana, the Fever veteran was simply a better fit for their vision of a fast track to the top. Krauskopf's words clearly painted the picture. She has the kind of experience we felt was necessary to lift us through this next 3 to 5 to 7 years. And she didn't waste any time to address the team's biggest issue. Stephanie White highlights Fever's biggest issue. According to Lynx's ex-coach, Fever's biggest weakness is a lack of playoff experience in their roster. In her first press conference back in Indiana, she spoke candidly about what she saw as the team's primary challenge. Having playoff experience is so important. You just never know what you don't know, she emphasized. White emphasized that building a winning roster isn't just about collecting talent, but about finding the right fit, especially when they already have their core three. The Fever need players who can complement Clark, Mitchell, and Boston. And she's already strategizing with Krauskopf and the Fever staff about how to bridge that gap. Amber, Kelly, and I are just talking about players and evaluations before we came out here. And building quality depth is going to be important, she shared. So, if the franchise manages to bring in the right mix of players, White's vision will lead to nothing short of greatness.
Yeah, I mean, it was a fortuitous moment of time in terms of timing. When I came in and really got started at the beginning of October, had the opportunity to spend a couple of weeks just reevaluating. I was asked to look at everything. Look ahead. Like, we're looking at a 3 to 5 year plan ahead. And part of that is, every position, from coaching to throughout the organization, and really setting us up in a way that's going to shepherd us through this next decade or so. So, the coaching was part of it. I can't say anything bad about the job that Christie Sides and her staff did. She did everything she was hired to do and then some, through a tough first year of Caitlin and all the attention and everything that went with that. I give them a lot of credit. And the opportunity to hire Steph just came about by a random conversation. And I think I probably heard, like most people, that that there was potential that she might not return to Connecticut. I don't have privy to those conversations of how that came about. All I know is I had the opportunity to hear from her agent, who said, there's a chance that she could be available. They may be parting ways. And I was like, just keep me posted, because we're in the midst of making our decision too of what we're going to do. So that's really, and then certainly, Stephanie's, part of our history, part of our franchise, the fabric of our franchise. I know her as a coach. She's a proven winner. She's a proven leader. And she has the kind of experience really that we felt was necessary to kind of lift us through this next 3 to 5 to 7 years of kind of being on this expedited path. I mean, I don't think anyone thought we would be, sort of at the door of where we are, which I feel very confident that, we've got a good young group, and Kelsey Mitchell's part of that, but certainly the opportunity to add a few more pieces, and with the leadership like Stephanie, who has been in those moments, those tough playoff moments, those tough moments of winning games, and certainly, putting players in the right position. There was a comfort level that I had in putting her in that position again.
It's so interesting that you say, people were, I guess at some level, surprised that you guys were this good this soon. I don't mean to toot my own horn, but I talked about this preseason, about the idea that, given the talent, given the way it all seemed to fit, and somehow we're 15 minutes in and I haven't used the phrase Lynn done yet, but what Lynn put together.
For sure.
I mean, it all makes sense, and so I say all that to say that by the time the playoffs rolled around, you guys are a 6th seed. That's a tough, you got to go in and try and win in Connecticut. Connecticut was coached by Stephanie White. So, I mean, it was like, that's a challenge. Alyssa Thomas, DeWanna Bonner, et cetera. But to my mind, clearly the Fever were a top 4 team in terms of performance by the end of that year. The 6th seed was largely a result of a 2-9 team that was not playing like the Fever had played in the last 29 games of the regular season. And so do you think that plays a part in the way you're thinking about it? Like, if the team had made, let's say, more incremental progress, did that performance change the way you thought about it?
Yeah, I mean, well, the generational talent that we have, they're probably a little bit more advanced than most. We had the chance to get 2 number 1 picks in a row, and that doesn't happen by being a good team all those years. That's you don't get in that position by being a good team. So now our work is cut out for us. And we know, if you look at the 2 teams that were in the playoffs, in the finals, there's a lot of experience on the floor. So, adding experience to young players who are already very talented, but until you've been there, you don't really know how hard it is. And I think that's really our next step, and that's our next phase is experience around them. We certainly have a coach who has been there and has been in those moments. So there's a big opportunity in front of us to add to this core group.
As a business proposition, you move beyond those parts, which are, clear. In other words, if you go back to what Caitlin did in her first 11 games, which had to be played over 20 days, her full season numbers are at or above players like Diana Taurasi, players like Sue Bird. I mean, those are the comparisons that you make. And even in the terms of a new CBA that might have a larger salary cap or more options or more, opportunities. So I wonder how you approach this year. Do you try and look at it short term? What are sort of the nature of the conversations to try and, sell her on continuing in the vision of where you guys are and where you don't?
Yeah. I think honestly, most players who are unrestricted free agents are most likely looking at 1-year deals. So that's not unusual. And it certainly doesn't change our opinion of how important Kelsey is and how important, she is to returning to this team. So that she's our number 1 priority. Yes, we do have the opportunity to core her. And it would be sort of irresponsible of me if we didn't utilize that opportunity.
Right.
So, going beyond that, I can't speak to that because I don't know what the future is and can't really even talk about it, as well. So
Sure.
we're really focused on the 2025 season, and then trying to sign and grab, some more experienced players if we can, under the regulations that we have. But I feel pretty confident that we've got something to offer a lot of players. I mean, this is a place where we take care of players here. We have a tremendous company, top to bottom, Pacer side, Fever side, G League side. I mean, we're all in this together. This is a basketball company, basketball community. It's about experience for players. I've had players leave and go to other teams, and they're like, "Man, I was wrong. The grass is not greener." And that's happened on the Pacer side too, by the way.
Sure.
So it's we know we have something special here, and it's our people. It's the fan base around here. People sort of galvanize together, and it doesn't matter who's playing on any given night in Gainbridge Fieldhouse. They're going to be there.
And just to kind of button that up on the Kelsey side, coring as sort of it's been taken different ways by different players through the years. But in this situation where, like you said, everyone's operating on a 1-year time frame right now because of this CBA negotiation, do you feel like there's an opportunity, especially when there's communication with it that comes along, to have that be ultimately not taken out?
If you've made it this far and are enjoying the video, don't forget to subscribe, and turn on all notifications. We know watching this video takes some of your time, and we appreciate you.